I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. That's what I think. But
is he playing? I didn't know.
The debate has been dragged through every studio, every podcast, every arena hallway, and every comment section on Earth. But every once in a while, a stretch of voices comes along that makes the whole thing feel less like a debate and more like a verdict. That is what happened here. 7 NBA legends, 7 different angles, and somehow the same conclusion kept surfacing over and over again. LeBron James is great, maybe even one of the greatest to ever do it, but the argument that he is above Michael Jordan keeps collapsing the moment you put it in front of people who actually played the game, coached the game, and lived the game at the highest level. The more they spoke, the less room there was for the usual excuses. The numbers did not disappear, but the meaning behind them changed. The story changed, the standard changed, and by the end of it, the GOAT debate looked a lot less like an open question and a lot more like an old conversation people keep trying to restart, even though the answer has already been sitting there for years.
I hope he retires soon.
The first voice that set the tone was Charles Barkley, and if you know Barkley, you already know he is never going to make it comfortable. He does not soften his opinions just because somebody has a large fan base, and he definitely does not do it when the player in question has spent years being treated like basketball's chosen one. Barkley's criticism has always carried a certain bite because he is not speaking from jealousy or from bitterness. He's speaking from the perspective of somebody who knows what elite basketball looks like and refuses to let media hype overwrite reality. When Barkley calls LeBron a drama queen, when he says the personality turns people off, when he says the pressure from the LeBron camp to crown him the greatest is what bothers him most, that is not empty chatter. That is Barkley saying the case is being manufactured in real time instead of earned organically. Barkley's entire posture has always been that you do not need a public campaign to become the best. You show it, you win, you dominate, you let the game speak. And in his eyes, Jordan did that better than anybody.
We play in different eras. He's an unbelievable player. He's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. I know it's a natural tendency to compare eras to eras, and it's going to continue to happen. I'm a fan of his. I love watching him play. But it's, as you can see, our league is starting to expand on very talented players, and I think he's made his mark. He will continue to do so over a period of time, but when you start the comparisons, I think it is what it is.
That takes us right to Jordan himself, the man who does not need to defend his place because every honest debate seems to defend it for him. Jordan has always represented the purest version of what greatness looks like when it is stripped of marketing and left with only performance. He did not build his legacy by telling people he was the greatest. He built it by making opponents feel helpless. He built it by turning every playoff series into a personal demolition project. When legends talk about Jordan as the original, the most complete, the most fundamental, they are not just praising his talent. They are talking about the total package. The scoring, the defense, the footwork, the balance, the fear factor, the ruthless edge, the obsession with winning, and the way every possession felt like a referendum on whether you were ready to survive him. Jordan is the measuring stick because so many of the people who played against him, coached against him, and watched him up close say the same thing. He was different. Not just better, different.
When I look at my GOAT, he played 82, injured the next season, 82, 82, 81, 82, 82,
Gotta be MJ.
80, 78, retired, 82, 82, 82. This is
more
my
of a macho
GOAT.
thing back
This
then.
is
You got
playing
kudos to fight through
99%.
that.
You got another level of respect from your peers.
Exactly.
Then you have Paul Pierce, whose criticism feels personal because, in a way, it is. Pierce battled LeBron in the playoffs. He took the losses, he took the bruises, and he took the experience of being on the court with someone who had every tool in the world, but not always the same approach to legacy that Pierce values. Pierce's issue is not simply that LeBron left Cleveland or Miami or later moved again when the fit changed. His issue is the morality of the path. He sees hypocrisy in a player who spent years talking about greatness, legacy, and rings, while also using the power of movement and team construction to shape his own championship environment. Pierce, who spent so much of his career grinding for one franchise, naturally sees that as a softer route. When he says LeBron is a hypocrite, he is really saying the path matters as much as the destination. To Pierce, you cannot lecture the world about ring culture while also spending your career finding the most convenient route to one. That criticism sticks because it is rooted in how the game used to be viewed by people who believed in building something from the ground up.
I think LeBron's a great player. To me, there's just something about MJ.
John Stockton's voice cuts even deeper because Stockton is not trying to be fashionable. He is not trying to go viral. He is not trying to win points with younger fans. Stockton comes from a mindset where loyalty, toughness, and continuity are the sacred things. He stayed in one place. He played through everything. He represents a version of basketball where you tighten your belt, get to work, and keep climbing the mountain with your own hands. That is why his helicopter line hits so hard. In Stockton's eyes, LeBron did not climb the mountain like the old greats. He took a helicopter to the top. That image is brutal because it is simple. It suggests help, convenience, and a path that is less about conquest and more about access. Stockton's criticism is not simply that LeBron left Cleveland or Miami or later moved again when the fit changed. His issue is the morality of the path. He sees hypocrisy in a player who spent years talking about greatness, legacy, and rings, while also using the power of movement and team construction to shape his own championship environment. Pierce, who spent so much of his career grinding for one franchise, naturally sees that as a softer route. When he says LeBron is a hypocrite, he is really saying the path matters as much as the destination. To Pierce, you cannot lecture the world about ring culture while also spending your career finding the most convenient route to one. That criticism sticks because it is rooted in how the game used to be viewed by people who believed in building something from the ground up.
LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, and I think he will move his name up there. But for me, it's always Dr. J and Michael Jordan, Magic and those.
Shaquille O'Neal rounds out the heavyweight chorus with the kind of perspective only a man of his size, dominance, and stature can deliver. Shaq has never been easy on LeBron when the conversation turns to clutch moments, load management, physicality, or the modern game's softer edges. He has consistently pushed the idea that today's rules help stars extend their careers in ways previous generations never enjoyed. He has also questioned some of LeBron's late-game decision-making, especially when LeBron passes instead of attacks in the kind of moments that define immortal players. Shaq's criticism matters because he understands exactly what it feels like to be the engine of an era. He knows what it means to force the league to adjust around you. So when he suggests that Jordan, not LeBron, is the original standard, that is not a hot take. It is a verdict from someone who lived the burden of being the player everyone else had to fear. Walt Frazier brings a different kind of weight to the table. Frazier is not one of those loud modern pundits trying to force a take into the atmosphere. He is an old-school legend who believes in presence, togetherness, and the signals a player sends beyond the box score. When Frazier questioned LeBron's body language and said he did not like the way LeBron sat by himself and appeared disconnected, he was talking about leadership in a language older than analytics. In Frazier's world, a superstar should be the emotional center of the team, not just its statistical engine. He also bristles at the way modern players are so friendly with their opponents. The hugs, the laughs, the pre-game conversations, the social familiarity. To Frazier, that erodes the adversarial edge that used to define elite competition. His view is not nostalgia for its own sake. It is a belief that the game becomes less sacred when the Warriors start acting like colleagues before the battle is even underway. Then Byron Scott enters the conversation and the temperature rises again because Scott is speaking from inside the Lakers' ecosystem, not from a safe distance. Scott has coached LeBron, he has lived through the organization's pressure cooker, and he knows what it means when a franchise starts reorganizing itself around a single player. His criticism about LeBron's era in Los Angeles is rooted in both basketball and institutional fatigue.
Scott has said he thinks it may be time for LeBron to move on, not because he is finished as a player, but because the fit may have run its course. He also rejects the idea that the modern NBA is somehow more difficult physically than the league he came from. To Scott, the old era was a different animal. The contact was harder, the rules were tougher, the grind was more punishing, and the game demanded more raw resilience. When a former champion and coach says a current superstar may need to find a new home, that is not an insult thrown from nowhere. That is a signal that the internal clock is always ticking, even for legends. The seventh voice in this debate is the most important one because it ties the whole thing together. It is Jordan again, but not as a silent icon this time. It is Jordan speaking about load management, about fans, about responsibility, about why he never wanted to miss a game if he was physically able to play. That philosophy is the backbone of the entire Jordan side of the debate. It is not just about winning, it is about showing up. It is about honoring the people who paid to watch you, the teammates who counted on you, and the standard you set for yourself. When Jordan talks about his love of the game, about the clause that once let him play pickup if he felt like it, about playing every possible game because the opportunity to prove himself mattered, he is revealing the internal fuel that made his greatness feel different. That fuel is part of why so many legends who watched him still place him above everybody else. He did not manage his way into legend. He attacked his way into it.
His influence on winning is greater than Jordan.
Okay.
Because when you look at the teams he took to the finals, it's like, damn, you dragged them?
And then there is the part that always comes back to scoring. People love to throw totals into the conversation like they are a final answer. LeBron's totals are incredible. Nobody honest disputes that. But the legends in this conversation keep reminding us that scoring volume and scoring force are not the same thing. Jordan's scoring titles, his average, his explosive seasons, his 30-point games, his dominance in an era where physical punishment was allowed, all of that changes the context. If LeBron has the longevity crown, Jordan still holds the peak dominance crown. If LeBron has the accumulation case, Jordan still has the killer case. That is why these seven voices matter. They are not all saying the same thing for the same reason, but together they remove the fantasy that the GOAT debate is as close as some fans want it to be. What makes this whole thing hit harder is that these are not anonymous internet voices. These are legends, men who won, men who lost, men who coached, men who played, men who have no need to be popular with every fan online. Barkley, Jordan, Pierce, Stockton, Frazier, Scott, Shaq, and Jordan himself. Different backgrounds, different eras, different relationships to the game, but a strikingly similar instinct when it comes to LeBron and Michael. They keep circling back to the same conclusion. Jordan represents the cleaner, harder, more complete version of greatness. LeBron represents a magnificent, historic, modern version of greatness that some respect deeply but still place beneath Jordan because of the path, the finals record, the championships, the scoring titles, the mentality, and the way he approached the climb. So when people say 7 NBA legends just ended the GOAT debate, what they really mean is this. 7 voices from the game's inner circle have made it much harder to keep pretending the argument is still a coin flip. The numbers are still there, the longevity is still there, the accomplishments are still there, but the legacy case keeps folding the moment these legends start talking about how the game was played, how titles were won, how leaders behaved, and how the greatest are supposed to carry themselves. That is why the Jordan side keeps sounding less like opinion and more like consensus. The debate will never disappear completely. LeBron's supporters will always bring up the points, the assists, the durability, the versatility, the longevity, and the way he expanded what a star can be. But every time a Barkley, a Jordan, a Pierce, a Stockton, a Frazier, a Scott, or Jordan himself speaks, the ground shifts again. The conversation stops being about raw totals and becomes about the shape of greatness. And in that shape, these 7 legends have made one thing painfully clear. For them, the throne still belongs to Michael Jordan. But who are you supporting here?